Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to my reading journey. Hope you're all absolutely fantastic, and today, as usual, we're gonna continue with Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics. It's gonna be the second part of the second chapter of the fifth book. So let's get started. The unjust is divided into the lawless and the unfair, and the just into the lawful and the fair. The injustice previously described, then, is concerned with the lawless, but the unfair is not the same as the lawless, but it is related to it as part of the whole, since whatever it is unfair is lawless, but not everything lawless is unfair. Hence, also the unfair type of injustice and the unfair way of being unjust are not the same as the lawless type, but differ as parts from wholes. For unfair injustice is a part of the whole of injustice, and similarly, fair justice is a part of the whole of justice. Hence, we must describe special as well as general justice and injustice, and equally this way of being just or unjust. Let us then set aside the type of justice and injustice that accords with the whole of virtue, justice being the exercise of the whole of virtue, and injustice of being of the whole of vice in relation to another. And it is evident how we must distinguish the way of being just or unjust that accords with this type of justice and injustice. For most lawful actions, we must say, are those produced by virtue as a whole, for the law prescribes living in accord with each virtue, and forbids living in accord with each vice. Moreover, the actions producing the whole of virtue are the lawful actions that the laws prescribe for education promoting the common good. We must wait till later, however, to determine whether the education that makes an individual an unqualifiedly good man is a task for political science or for another science, for presumably being a good man is not the same as being every sort of good citizen. Special justice, however, and the corresponding way of being just have one species that is found in the distribution of honors, of or wealth, or anything else that can be divided among members of a community who share in a political system. For here it is possible for one member to have a share equal or unequal to another's. The second species concerns rectification in transactions. These second species have two parts, since one sort of transaction is voluntary and one involuntary. Voluntary transactions, for instance, selling, buying, lending, pledging, renting, depositing, hiring out, are so called because their principle is voluntary. Among involuntary transactions, some are secret, for instance, theft, adultery, poisoning, pimping, slave deception, murder by treachery, false witness, whereas others involve force, for instance, imprisonment, murder, plunder, mutilation, slander, insult. Alright, guys, so we've done with this chapter, and we're gonna continue tomorrow on the next one. Thank you for joining me today in this reading session. Hope you enjoyed the journey. See you tomorrow. Bye.